Good evening and welcome to this edition of Inside Jefferson Football, your weekly look inside the Jaguar football program. My name is Josh Powers. Coming up on this episode, we will recap last Friday's Jaguar game against against Waconia. Jefferson falling to 1-2, 27-14. We'll look ahead to next week's opponent, Benilde St. Margaret's, for the Jaguars on Friday. And we'll also talk with Scott Knutson in the Where Are They Now segment. Scott's a 2001 grad of Jefferson High School. And the players segment, we've got Ethan Rowland and Sean Culp will be joining me as well. But first, the head coach, Coach Carlson. Friday night, it was kind of a game of two halves. The first half, you guys looked really good. There were a couple weird plays that went against you near the end of the half, and then Waconia just kind of in the second half ground down, and they ended up prevailing 27-14.
Yeah, again, it was a good game, but you're right. It was tale of two halves. We ended that first half. We just missed an interception on our own. Then they tip a pass, and a guy laying on his back catches it to set up a touchdown. But those are things that you have to rise above. You can't let that get you down. It is a momentum thing, more positive for them, I think, going into halftime. And we're sitting at halftime. We're talking as coaches. We like what we're doing, whether it be the run game, the pass game, defensively. We're doing a lot of things really well. We just came out and made way too many mistakes in that first half, whether it be penalties, running the wrong routes, just going different ways that we're not supposed to. So just too many little things against a good Waconia team. You just can't do that. I mean, our schedule is tough, plain and simple, top to bottom. It's tough. And every week presents a great opportunity for us to do something special. But we just can't make mistakes like that against a good team, and they took advantage of it.
There were a ton of penalties in this game, too, on both sides. Actually, you had fewer penalties than Waconia. I'm not going to ask you to comment on the officiating necessarily, but in a game with so many stoppages and not a lot of flow, and it just kind of seems like you're kind of skating on eggshells, or else a penalty is going to be called. How do you coach your team differently, or how do you react to those type of situations?
No, and you're right. It was odd because it seemed like it was something on every play. And there were good calls and bad calls both ways. It really was. And I told our kids afterwards and our coaches, I let it get to me way too much, and that's not good. And I have to change that. It's one of those uncontrollables that I can't change. I can't control it, so I have to be different. I have to look at what's next and get on to what's next in the game. And so everything kind of starts with me on that, and I take blame for that. But you're right. It was kind of a weird game in that way, and we just have to march on. Whatever happens, it happens, and let's move on. Let's find out what's next and make a great play the next time.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights, because you did a lot of things well in this game, and certainly had chances to win this game. And we mentioned the great start here. You guys, Roosevelt Cage was kind of a man possessed in this game, and here he takes it.
Yeah, he runs hard every time. I prefer he doesn't run into Pierce. There's a little gap right there, and he kind of, if I'm running though, I think I want to find Pierce and get behind too. But he runs hard, and it's going to be hard to stop Roosevelt in a short distance like that.
He also did some things through the air here, Coach. I mean, you talk about a heck of a play on 3rd and long. Yeah. They dump it to Roosevelt, and he just refused to be tackled here in this play.
Yeah, this is one we liked all week. Little flare to Rosie, get in space. We get the linemen out in front. You can see how the linemen are locked on. We're just looking for guys to block. And he's able to cut back, make a couple of moves, and then just keep the legs churning, and makes a nice play. And again, credit to some of the linemen here looking and getting out and locking on people. But Roosevelt runs hard, and there's another one. He's just he's running forever. And he does a good job. There's no quit in Roosevelt, and I appreciate the way he plays.
That led to your second touchdown at that point. It was 14-0. And another guy who plays well every game for you, frankly, Pierce Opong, 16 tackles, you told me. Yeah. This might have been the most impressive. Watch what he does in space.
If you watch his hands, they're constantly moving, and he chases down a running back. Pierce is 235 and can outrun an awful lot of guys. There's another play where he just tackles the guard and the running back at the same time. It's like getting his way, and he'll take you down. But Pierce is definitely blessed with athletic ability. But as I've told him, I've told parents, I've told our team, You know, he was blessed with a gift, but that's not what made him great. He's made himself great. You know, the gift that was given to him, and now he's developed that, and he's just a heck of a player. But the thing nice about Pierce, he's a better person. You know, I just wish we'd have a ton of Pierces, not only football players, but just a ton of young men like him.
Well, let's. I know you might want to hide your eyes on this play. This one, I think this really swung the momentum. This play, late in the half, you guys are up 14-0. You had just missed an interception, and then this happens on a 3rd down.
Yeah, this has to be Paul in there that wants to see this one again, watch react. You know, we had good coverage. There's again, all we can do is do our best, and we were in great shape. Forced a high throw because we were underneath it. They tip it. That ball could have gone anywhere, but I give a lot of credit to the young man on the ground.
Yeah,
with
made a great play.
Yeah, concentration to catch that. That's just a heck of a play. And sometimes you just say, you know what, that's a heck of a play on their part, and we move on. And you know, we came out with a goal line, and we made them work. We made them work for those 2 yards or whatever. But again, sometimes you just say, hey, nice play, and move on.
Well, there's a lot of plays both sides of that game, and I know you have another tough opponent on Friday in Benil. We'll get more into the Red Knights, who are 3-0, in our final segment, all right?
Sounds good.
All right, that's the head coach, Tim Carlson. Coming up in our next segment, it's the Where Are They Now segment with Scott Knutson, 2001 grad. Coming up next on Inside Jefferson Football. Back on Inside Jefferson Football, the Jaguars hit the road on Friday to take on Benilde St. Margaret's, the Red Knights, and that game will get underway at 7 o'clock, and we will have away game coverage for you of that one on BEC-TV on Friday night. Time for the Where Are They Now segment. 2001 grad Scott Knutson. That seems, you shake your head like I'm 1998, so I've got a few years on you, but.
Yeah, I understand that. The kids coming up later in the show, I was talking with them, and they were born the year I graduated. It's just, you feel old. They're calling me sir. It's not cool. I don't feel that old, let's put it that way.
I emphasize with you, but let's go back because you're something of a legacy in, not you yourself,
not
but
myself,
the Knutson name. So just talk about the lineage of all your relatives that played and attended Jefferson High School.
Well, yeah, my dad was part of the first class that actually went through Jefferson, so he went he was the first senior that saw his years at Jefferson. At the time, it was only 3 years. And then I had 2 other uncles that were, and my dad, for his football ability and plus some stuff he did later on, was this last year put in the Football Hall of Fame for Jefferson football, which is really cool. But then I have another uncle that drove the bus for the team for numerous years. I mean, even coach saying, "Boy, we miss having Chuck around, being able to drive the school bus." So, you know, a long time with Jefferson football, and myself, I was the manager, ball boy for 3rd grade all the way until I started playing sophomore year. So, a lot of time working with Jefferson football, and we absolutely love it.
Now, you played on the football team, so talk about your role on the team and then also all the other activity. You were a busy guy, all the other activities that you did at Jefferson.
Yeah, well, you know, role in the football team, you know, I played senior year. Junior year, I was the backup, but I did get to play a little bit in some games where we were wiping people out. We can put Knutson in finally. But no, I had a pretty good year, injury plagued and stuff like that, but we had a pretty good year. A lot of fun playing under the lights. I wouldn't trade any of that time playing football for anything. It was an absolute blast. You know, in high school, I was also on the golf team. I played a bunch of that, so that was in the spring. I was in the band, and actually think we probably figured out we probably played together
I
in the
think
band
so,
at one point.
Yep.
And then, you know, had some jobs along the way through high school as well. So just tried to keep busy, stay out of trouble, and that's how you end up with a successful life in the future. If you stay out of trouble, that's for sure.
So let's talk about that, because you've been successful after your time at Jefferson, and it started, you went up north for college.
Yeah, I went to North Dakota, University of North Dakota. I was up there when they were still the Fighting Sioux. Which for me, they'll always be the Fighting Sioux, but that's a different topic. Went up there, did their aviation program. I was a flight instructor while I was still a student. I had at one point I had 4 jobs while in college, trying to help make ends meet and still pay for the aviation career and all that stuff. And after that, I went and joined with an airline called Pinnacle Airlines, which was a feeder for Northwest at the time. They're no longer around. And I was there for 8 years and did a stint at Frontier Airlines for a very quick time, and I've been at Mainline Delta for the last 5 years, flying 757s and 767s, now out of Minneapolis. So,
what made you want to get into the aviation field and pursue that as your career?
Boy, that's a loaded question.
Because you must have decided that a long time ago. You went up there to North Dakota specifically with that in mind. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's been the goal since as long as I can remember. What started there is my stepdad. When I was 3, he was a pilot in the Navy, flew E-2s, and he gave me the movie Top Gun. And you know, if you ever watch Top Gun again, you know, the original, not the one that's coming out.
The reboot's coming out.
The reboot's coming. Look, I'm excited, man. It's going to be fun. But if you listen to it, the actual first line of the movie was "Good morning, Scott."
Really?
Yeah. And so, a little 3-year-old kid, you know, I guess I'll pay attention to this, and didn't help that. They had a bunch of fighter airplanes on there too to be able to keep your attention. But I know every line of the darn thing, and that's what got me hooked in aviation. And you know, that I really enjoy flying. It's a great job. Delta is a fantastic company to work for. They really take care of their employees, and I'm very thankful for where we are in life at this point.
We got a couple of significant people outside in our hallway, just outside of our stage.
Yeah,
we got a wife and a little one running around. So talk about your family.
Yeah, absolutely. I was married to my wife in 2015. We married coming up on 4 years. Built us out in Cottage Grove in 16, 17. We had our baby Tyler Knutson. He's out there. And you know, he's an absolute blessing. I love that kid. He's ball energy, running around, and I thought football was tough. Try chasing a toddler at 6. It's a lot of work, but I think 2 days were probably still more.
Especially on a day like today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't do humidity. I got way too much insulation for that, so I don't do too much of that. But.
All right, we're at the way back machine here. We've got some clips all the way back in 2001 of Scott Knutson here. Now this is you running out in the pregame, our first clip. That's not you. You're the next guy here, number 55.
That's me. Yeah, the stink of it was the previous week I had my bell rung, had a concussion against Eden Prairie. I wasn't supposed to start, but nobody told the announcer, so I still got to run out the tunnel, so that was kind of fun. I got to play after a couple series, but so yeah, that was exciting. You know, had the whole full stadium there, and everybody cheer for you, and it under the lights on a Friday night, can't beat it.
And we'll see you in action here. You're a center on the offensive line, and the Jaguar running game was pretty powerful for you guys back then behind you.
Well, at that point we had a pretty good offensive line and some good skill players. That was Derek Copeland that ran the ball there. Really tough runner, and running downhill, could break some tackles and stuff. And as long as we could not turn over the ball, that was our Achilles heel. We kept a lot of turnovers left and right, and it was just silly stuff. But we would have been a little more successful. But we still had a fun year. Got to the region final against Eden Prairie. So
here's your last play as a touchdown behind you. What are some of the moments that stick out from you in your high school days?
Well, one of the biggest things is that, and this kind of goes to the guys that are playing now. You know, you play through football, it's tiring, but it goes so quick. And you get to the end and you realize, boy, I'm not going to get to do this again. And you miss it. And even to this day, 18 years later, I miss putting on the helmet and going around and running people over. That's, you know, that Apple Valley had a kid that you guys can find the clips. He had a rough game, let's put it that way. But yeah, I'd love to strap it on. I wouldn't last very long because I'd hurt myself again. But it was a lot of fun playing football, and I wouldn't trade any of those experience, the camaraderie you get from it. It's the closest thing you can do to go to battle without having to have anybody shooting at you, and it's I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's I love football. So.
Well, it was great to have you on the show, Scott. Best of luck with your family and your new son, and stay busy and fly safe, all right?
Great. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, that's Scott Knutson, 2001 Jefferson grad. Coming up next, it's our Players segment. Stick around on Inside Jefferson Football.
I am so proud that I served my country. I can't imagine not having Wounded Warrior Project in my life. We need Wounded Warrior Project to help us in our ongoing recovery. My family learned that they weren't in this by themselves. Wounded Warrior Project definitely saves lives. I am living proof that this organization works.
Back on Inside Jefferson Football, the Jaguars take on Benilde St. Margaret's and the Red Knights on Friday night, 7 o'clock. And we'll have coverage for you on BEC-TV Live, Channel 14. So check it out, or head on north on Highway 100 and check out Kennedy live in person on Friday night. And two guys are going to be playing in that game. Join me now, Ethan Rowland, Sean Culp. Guys, thanks a lot.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Ethan, we'll start with you. Ask this for most of the players, but you're a senior, obviously, for the Jaguars. But when did your football career start? When did you know you liked the game and wanted to pursue it at the high school level?
The first year I did football, my dad really pushed me to do it. It was in 4th grade, and he was just trying to get me to do like physical activity. Then after my 4th grade season, even though we didn't do that good, I really enjoyed it. Just hitting my friends was just really fun. Then 5th grade year, I just continued with it and just came back year after year.
How about you, Sean?
I started when I was a sophomore. My dad had always pushed me to it, and I was always a basketball kid. So I thought, hey, I might as well come out for football, and I did, and I had a lot of fun. So I decided I think I can roll with this, and it's just been a blast ever since.
Now, you're a guy that doesn't factor too much in the kind of the starting role offensively and defensively. You do see the field, but Coach Carlson said, Josh, Sean's really earned his time to be on this show. So what are some things that you do both on the field but also off the field that has Coach Carlson kind of seeing you so high up in his eyes?
I always try to have good energy at practice. I help a lot on scout team during practice. You know, I have a good relationship with my coaches just so I can keep practice fun, entertaining for everybody, and as well as just keep things competitive and always give everyone their best looks during practice.
We call him actually the scout team leader.
The scout team leader.
The scout team leader.
The scout team leader.
There you go. Ethan, for you, you're both on offense and defense. Let's talk about offense for a little bit. First of all, what is it like to be in the same backfield with Roosevelt Cage? And then secondly, what is it like to go up against Pierce Opong in practice?
Being in the backfield with Roosevelt Cage, he definitely makes me work. I want to start over him, so knowing that that's my competition, it makes me it makes me want to step up my game. And going against Pierce, when in practice we're starting offense and he's on defense, he makes it really difficult. It makes it really hard to run his way because whoever he's on, he just pushes them in and just kills the play. But when he's on my side, it's great reinsurance knowing that he's blocking for me, knowing that he's just throwing someone across the field.
Literally sometimes. Sean, you mentioned basketball. We know about that, but something people may not know about you is another activity you're involved at Jefferson. Talk about that.
Yeah, I do trap shooting. I've been trap shooting for Jefferson since I was in the 7th grade. My grandpa showed me the love for that. And I took 2nd in state my 7th grade year. I haven't been back to state, but I hope to return this year, and it's just a lot of fun participating in school activities and just repping Jefferson.
You said there's been no injuries yet.
There's been no injuries yet.
That way.
It's the most safest sport in Minnesota.
There you go. Ethan, what else are you involved with at Jefferson High School besides football?
What am I involved in? I try to go to the volleyball games. I go to the basketball games.
Yes.
Super fan.
When I was a freshman, I'll go to the football games. games. I used to do lacrosse. I'm thinking about doing track this year. So yeah, I try to show up to what I can.
All right, guys, it's that time. It's trivia time.
Oh.
Best 2 out of 3 here. Bragging rights are
Okay.
on the line. It's been heated so far. So I'm going to read you a question followed by a series of multiple choice answers. At any time that you think you know the answer, buzz in by saying your name. If you get 2 out of 3 right, you're this week's winner. So here we go. If you're paying attention, here's question number 1. What year did Scott Knutson graduate from Jefferson High School? 1997, 2001.
Sean.
2001.
2001.
Sean,
2001.
you were paying attention.
Ah,
2001.
yes.
Very good
Gotta
listening
say your
skills,
name.
Sean.
Gotta
That's
say your
important.
name.
Oh.
So Sean's leading 1-0. What school is adjacent to the west, or almost adjacent to the west of Jefferson High School? Is it Oak Grove, Normandale Hills, or Olson Junior High? What
Olson
school?
Junior High, Ethan?
Yes, Olson Junior High is almost adjacent to Jefferson High School, just to the west of there. So all tied at 1. Olson Middle School, excuse me, the name's changed since back in the day when I was there, so maybe that threw you off, but you got there, Ethan. So here we go. Question number 3. What football jersey did Tom Burnett Jr. wear for Jefferson? Was it 7, 10?
Ethan?
Ethan.
I have no clue. I just guessed 10.
It is 10.
Oh!
Ethan is this week's winner. Guys, his jersey is
I don't
hanging up
know.
in the hallways of your high school, by the way. But maybe that you subconsciously you got
should've
there.
been paying more
Ethan. There you
attention.
go.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you
yeah,
showed up late to
should-
the
you should've
show.
been paying more
You
attention.
showed up late to the show.
No.
You were late to the show.
I looked at the jersey. I subconsciously remembered it, and I said 10, and I win, so I have bragging rights.
You were late to the
You
show.
lost.
You were
Another
late.
good,
school-
another good heated
Well,
battle.
what school-
Ethan
what
was a
school is
little
next
late
to
to the
Jefferson?
show, so
What
we'll.
school is to the left of Jefferson High School?
We do have to move on, guys. A 30-minute show here, so we got to get to our last segment. You guys can continue the conversation off air. Really enjoyed having you guys on the show. Best of luck on Friday, all right?
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll talk to Coach Carlson about the game against Benilde in our last segment of Inside Jefferson Football. Good job, guys. I liked it.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Back on Inside Jefferson Football, Jefferson continues on the road on Friday. They take on undefeated Benilde St. Margaret, 7 o'clock. We'll have coverage for you on Channel 14 live on Friday night. To preview that game, Coach Carlson joins me as we talked in the first segment. Obviously, Benilde, they're ranked very highly in the top 5, and they're coming off a nice win against Chanhassen. But I want to focus in on you guys first, because a week ago against Apple Valley, your offense was really humming along, and I thought you guys did a lot of good things on defense in the first half of last week's game. Talk about trying to put that together for an entire 48 minutes.
Yeah, and part of that, you get the growing pains of a lot of young kids playing, and we don't have a lot of seniors. So a lot of that is kind of the growing pains, and just for the kids to understand what goes into the grind of a game, and that you have to keep plugging away every single play. It's 48 minutes, and it gets tough. Bad things happen, good things happen, but you just have to keep plugging away. And so that's a part of the process of teaching them that. And, again, like I said earlier, it's, we have to move on. What's next? You do something good, great, what's next? Something bad happens, okay, great, what's next? And we just have to get that mentality, and we've really been pushing that this week. And, Benilde's a good team. Plain and simple, they're a good team. But I told the kids, I am so excited about the opportunity they have to beat Benilde, who's a very good team this week. We look at our schedule. Each week we get a great team to beat. And that we have to see that as an opportunity and go out and attack that opportunity, because, we're playing a special sport, and, not everybody has those opportunities to make a name for yourself. So we're excited. They're good, but we'll be ready, and we'll have a lot of fun.
How about the two guys that were just out here,
Oh, my gosh.
Sean and Ethan? Is this year's team closer than maybe some other teams in the past? And I don't want to compare it to
No.
the team where you had 30-some seniors,
No.
but it just seems like the camaraderie is there between the players.
Yeah, I think they enjoy being around each other a little bit more, maybe more than the past few years. But you can see they have fun in everything they do. And I like the competitiveness. We teach compete in everything we do, and you can see they are competitive and they do have fun, and they have to care about each other. We preach about, we talk a lot about loving each other and caring about each other. We don't have to like each other all the time, but we should, love each other all the time. And we call it the Mrs. Carlson rule at Jefferson, that she'll tell me every once in a while, you know what, I love you like crazy. I just don't like you a lot right now. So if it's the Mrs. Carlson rule at Jefferson, that we love each other, we care about each other, and you can see that in the kids.
Last one for you before we go, but 2 weeks ago you guys were able to upend Apple Valley at the end. Last week, I know it was a loss, but did your team continue to gain momentum going up against Waconia, a team that's perennially top at the district, and you guys were right there and certainly had your chance to win that game?
Yeah, I mean, we talked afterwards. The same feeling really that after Chan. I think the kids almost surprised themselves a little bit. Hey, we're pretty good. And sometimes again it's a process. Like we said, we're this close to being 0-3. We're this close to being 3-0. And if we're 3-0 and we beat the teams we beat, we're in that top 10. But we're not. We're 1-2, and we do learn. You learn from all the good, you learn from the bad, and move on. And like I said, what a great opportunity we have this week to play a very good football team, and go there with a great chance of winning.
Well, we'll be out there as well, Coach. Can't wait to review the footage with you next week on Inside Jefferson Football. Good luck on Friday.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
All right, that'll wrap up this edition of Inside Jefferson Football. Again, the Jaguars take on Benilde St. Margaret's Friday night, 7 o'clock. We'll have coverage for you live on BEC-TV. Until next Tuesday, for our entire crew, this is Josh Powers saying good night from our studios.